Good morning. The date today is the 19th of November. This is going to be my 10 minutes of visioning. So I haven't yet done the full moon video for the Thorburn School of Astrology, and I've been a little bit stuck. Yes, there's been a bit happening, but I'm not going to say that it took up a lot of my time. In terms of the bumper bashing, yesterday being the Monday, I was very rattled because that was the liaising with the insurance companies, and beginning to realize that the other person doesn't really have the means to claim from insurance. So I've been feeling a little bit down about that and just wondering how on earth am I going to do this video. In fact, it's too late. I'm going to leave it go. So this morning, the download that's coming in is this. And so I'm going to just talk, and then I'll take notes from this to work on it on Friday in order to actually do the video on Friday. So in early 2000s, when I studied neuro-linguistic programming, one of the most important things that I learned was that the mind, the brain, does not know the difference between fantasy and reality. In other words, the brain does not have the ability to know that our thinking, which is not necessarily real, is not reality. So what does this mean for us right now? What this means is that because the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, that is exactly why we get stuck in the guilt of the past, all the things that we should have, could have, would have, if only things were different, if only I hadn't done this. So every time you think of something that happened to you in the past, be it a hurt, be it a betrayal, be it somewhere where you feel so deeply, every single time you think about it, you're actually bringing it into the present, because the brain doesn't know the difference between imagined and reality. Remember, although that incident happened to you, right, it's not your reality in the now. It's not your reality in the now. So you are imagining, you are creating the thought, you are creating the reality of that incident replaying itself, that hurt, that grudge, that jealousy, that betrayal. You are holding on to it. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. In the same way as our worry about the future, worry. It hasn't even happened yet. Whatever we are thinking about, whatever we are worrying about is actually our imagination. But the brain doesn't know that. So it makes it your reality. So one of the things that I really want to stress right now is that the brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So everything that you bring up from the past is imagination, and everything which then brings up guilt, which brings up all those negative feelings, and then you remain stuck in those negative feelings. Because remember, we are neurologically wired to our thoughts. We are neurologically wired, and these have established highways, grooves. These have established ravines of belief systems in our physical body. So as much as you think that you're just thinking about it in your head and your emotions, believe you me, your physical body has actually been neurologically wired to those belief systems of hurt, betrayal, jealousy. And every time you think about it, every time you think about something from the past, time you think about something of the future, I'm not going to have enough money, I'm not going to be successful, I'm not going to pass, whatever the case may be, you are making that all a reality, and you're reinforcing the highway system. So if you are reinforcing the things, now there's a reason why I'm going down this path. Well, I think there's a reason why I'm going down this path. And that is that this recent full moon was in Taurus and Scorpio. And yes, I do think that this was a momentous full moon. But let me just add here that I think that people are feeling really stuck. And the reason why I think people are feeling very stuck is based on what I've just said about how the brain operates. It doesn't know the difference between real and reality. Scorpio and Taurus are fixed signs. Fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And what happens with fixed signs is they stick their heels in and they do not judge, they do not change or adapt very easily to things. They want to keep the status quo. And I think that's what's happening to us at the moment. I think what's happening to us at the moment is that we are fiercely fighting, whereby there's one part of us that wants to keep the status quo of our old belief systems, of our old hurts, of our old betrayals, of our old pains, everything that we are holding on a mental, emotional, and physical plane, because we are holding on to it so vehemently, because it's what we know. And that if we had to let go of this, the fear of what then takes its place and the fear of the unknown is too much for a fixed sign to actually deal with. So because we were dealing with a full moon, and we're dealing with the sun in Scorpio. And I think the sun in Scorpio, for many of us this month, we could really be looking at the shadow. Because if ever there was a sign for me that actually does bring up the shadow, that part of us that we don't want to look at, that we want to keep hidden in the depths of our lives, might be actually surfacing. It might be shining a light. And on that basis, I'd like to just go down the rabbit hole of the whole concept of we are all one. We are all one with God, with the infinite. Now, it's always fascinated me, the oneness concept, because I totally believe in it. I totally believe that we are interconnected to absolutely everything. And that would make sense if we were working on a frequency and a vibrational level. However, we only want to be in oneness with other people when it's the nice things. Okay, it's the goodness, it's the kindness, it's the peace. We don't want to be in oneness with the rapist, with the anger, with the violence, with the nastiness that can come out of human beings. But that's exactly what oneness is. And I think that with the sun, with this full moon, that perhaps some of our shadows are coming out. Remember, I might have spoken about the shadows in the previous video, and now I think they're coming out in full force for us to really have a look at. I know for myself that having been in a bit of a bumper basher, I've actually been quite calm and I haven't been reactive to it. I've been doing all these nice ascension responses to all of this. But then there's been a couple of moments where my level of impatience and just downright nastiness has come out of me. And it doesn't make me feel proud. But now, that's when the next concept comes in. The more we suppress this, what you resist persists. So by not looking at your negatives, by not looking at your shadow side, that the sun is actually bringing into light right now, by not looking at that, we repress it, and then it stays within our body, within our energy system, and we perpetuate the things in our life. And then we put our hands up and we say, but I don't understand. I do this manifestation thing and nothing happens. And all the rest of it. It's because you're still holding too much in the denseness of your body. You're still very, very neurologically wired to that, which of what has happened to you in the past, which for me has always brought about feelings of guilt and regret, and the worrying about the future. So that would be the sun. But the moon in Taurus, is wanting to look for grounding. It's wanting to look for, I'm going to actually go so far right now as to say it's looking for Gaia. It's looking for Mother Nature. Because the only way that we are going to progress right now is actually going back to our roots, to the grounding of this incredible planet that actually holds us. But we are all sustaining each other. We sustain the earth sustains us. As we destroy the earth, we are destroying ourselves by proxy. Therefore, if that has an iota of truth to it, then that means that by changing yourself, even if it's that one small action, then by proxy, you're making a difference to the greater whole. And I think that would be a wonderful message to, yes, the full moon brought this to a conscious level, okay? But this, what I'm talking about, is a change that is lifelong. And this full moon has given us this trigger point for us to really begin to see how much of my life right now is stuck in the unhappiness of the imagination that my brain is making a reality. And the only way you are going to you have to start new neural pathways. And that is why it is so very, very difficult to think of the world that you want to create, because your brain keeps telling you that you're lying, because it's holding on so fiercely to that entrenched neural pathway that said that you were nothing, that your partner doesn't love you, that life has been a waste, or whatever message is going on. So please take heed of the following. If I had to leave you with anything right now, it would be this. Number one, the brain does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. And as you imagine and recreate instances of the past, it makes it into a now moment as a reality. As you worry about the future that hasn't even happened, that is pure imagination, it brings it into the now as a reality moment. And that is why we keep entrenching our neurological pathways. The challenge to this is, what is the reality I want to create? Right? It's hard. This is difficult work. This is PhD work, okay? Because you are so uncomfortable, and we want to go back to that which is comfortable. We want to stay in our comfort zone, even if we're miserably unhappy. That's where we want to stay. So that's the first thing I'd like you to think about. The other thing that I'd like you to think about is just imagine how many years you have been reinforcing incidences that have happened to you in the past. And I'm not saying that some of us don't have some really major incidences that can really destroy a life, okay? But it's in the past. What do you want to do with that? Do you still want to give the power to that person, that situation, that incident, or do you want to rise above it? That is the question that you need to be asking yourself right now. The third thing is, You're looking at your shadow right now and it's uncomfortable. I'm looking at my shadow right now and I'm not a very happy little rabbit right now. I really am not. I'm looking at my shadow. I'm having to face it. I'm having to face that when I get really angry or frustrated, it actually leads me into behavior that is very, very reactionary. And it's not helpful. It doesn't make a difference in anybody's life. It just makes me feel bad. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at my shadow side. I'm looking at the fact that this full moon happened in fixed signs. And the fixed sign is saying, I will not change. I will not budge. I will not do this differently. It's always served me in the past. I'm not going to do this again. Imagine if that's what your unconscious is doing to hold on to all the hurts and pains and injustices and unfairnesses that have happened to you in your life. Imagine how it's so fiercely held on to. Can you imagine how difficult it is to let go of that? And that's what we're all experiencing right now. That is what we are all experiencing right now. So don't run away from it. Don't run away from this that is happening to you. Embrace it. The new moon is coming in Sagittarius. And what's so wonderful about that is that Sagittarius and the new moon that is coming is, number one, it is a mutable new moon. Mutable means that we actually get that little bit of flexibility coming into our vibration, where we actually prepared to actually let go of this fierce resistance that we have to change and actually begin to open ourselves up. Sagittarius is about freedom. It is about adventure. It is about going out there and actually thinking of higher philosophy, higher ways of doing things. It is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is Zeus. It is the time that we can really begin to be creative, but nothing that you're maybe creating in the new moon of Sagittarius, because it's mutable, put all the different ideas on the table. Put them out there. Put all the different ideas on the table, because when Capricorn comes along, which is a cardinal sign, which is then when we actually bring everything together and begin the new creation. So right now, we need to get over ourselves. Literally and truly, we need to get over ourselves. The fight and the battle, let's rather call it the battle. The battle is not over right now. This is always a progressive thing, and we're going to be dealing with it. But any little bit that you can work on yourself right now is going to be huge in terms of your own personal development. So I'd like to leave you with that. This is a recording as opposed to a YouTube video because it's happening first thing in the morning. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to be able to put all of this into I'm going to leave it to Thea to actually decide what to do with it. But thank you for listening. And yes, any further downloads that I get, I will share with you. Thank you and take care until we meet again on the new moon. Thank you.